Hey, beautiful souls. We are so excited to introduce you to um I was just telling Coach Sonia I have so much to share, ladies, that I can't even get it in this
Cutting off.
courage.
Yeah.
Now need this.
Yeah, it needs to go. It keeps coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Um
There.
oh wait, I think it's not. Hold up a second. There we go. Here we go. I have a question for you, ladies. If you ever been curious about navigating past barriers to success, get ready to rewrite your story, transform setbacks, and unleash the powerhouse within you. Welcome, beautiful souls, to our first part of a five-part series, Resolution Revolution. This is what we're calling it because, we're in this new year, right? And this is the time where everybody makes resolutions. So Coach Sonia and I said, you know what? We're going to create this topic, and it's going to be surrounding resolution, and it's going to be about a revolution because, when I thought about the word revolution, as well as Coach Sonia, we're thinking about, you know what? We're going to take our life back. We're not
Yeah.
asking questions. We're taking our life back. And to us, that's a revolution. So just stay tuned because today we're going to dive into the foundational understanding of what the trauma mindset is and its impact on setting goals for 2024. Before we begin, I want to tell you, subscribe. Subscribe now. We're going to give you a moment to subscribe, because this is not an ordinary talk show. This is a life altering experience waiting for you to jump in. So let's give them a moment, Sonia. It's time to subscribe. If you've been watching our channel and you've been viewing what we have to say and you love what we have to say, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button and don't forget to hit the notification button because that's what notifies you when we go live each week and when we upload videos. So time to subscribe because you are going to get so much information over these next 5 weeks. You don't want to miss it. And I strongly suggest that you come with a notebook and a pen. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So let's get ready to dive in. You know, um, this episode, we're going to again talk about the crucial topic of trauma mindset. And on this channel, we talk about that a lot because we clearly know that it's the mindset and the beliefs that it holds that stops us from reaching our goal. I want you to take a moment and think about all the goals you were setting every time New Year's roll around. Is it the same goal? I want to lose weight.
Yes.
I'm not Mr. Right. I want to get a promotion. I want to start a business. If you've been tackling with the same goals, whether it's around New Year's time or not, and you have not achieved that goal, we may have some information that can help you. And it starts with exploring the mindset. And this is based on women who experienced trauma, even if it was 30 or 40 years ago. And if it hasn't been healed, chances are it may have something to do with that. If you give yourself the opportunity to have an open mind and you're here because we've got a lot to share, we may have the answers to your problems. All right. So I'm going to guide you and through the exploration of the mindset, and I'm going to guide you through the understanding how our past traumatic experiences shapes our thoughts, shapes our beliefs, and shapes our behaviors, and ultimately impacting our goal setting. Do you hear that, ladies?
Absolutely.
Past experiences, no matter how long ago, if it's not healed, can still impact your thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, and goal setting. Right? So let's dive into this. First, I want to make sure that people have a clear understanding of what is the trauma mindset. I'm excited about that, hence I'm a trauma mindset coach. So you know that is right up my alley to explain the trauma mindset, right? So I want to say one more time what our title of our show is. It is the resolution revolution. And we're talking about conquering challenges and setting trauma informed goals for 2024. And with this method this year, you should be able to take steps towards achieving your goal for the first time, right? And we don't say we do it perfectly, but we definitely have the roadmap to head you toward your goal. So stay tuned. You do not want to miss the next 5 episodes. All right. So let's get started. The trauma mindset. I have to make sure that I say the layman terms because every now and then Coach Sonia reminds me, Natalie, say it in English, don't use the clinical terms like she mentioned it on our last our last talk show. But and you know what? She's not the only one that said that. Like my youngest daughter says that too. Ma, you use all these clinical terms. And I have to be honest, I'm working on it. But when you've been counseling for 32 years and you have to write clinical notes and you have to share clinical summaries in a clinical team meeting, you get that way of speaking. You just get it's embedded in your head. So that's something I have to really be mindful of. So I'm trying to share all the definitions that I have and all the titles that I have in a way that you can understand it. And just in case I don't, I'm asking not only Coach Sonia to remind me, like, Natalie, you might want to re-explain that. I want you to go in the comment sections, like, Natalie, can you explain that word you use? Can you explain that? Although I have to be honest, during my counseling experience, I've told my clients, I'm here to raise your bar. I'm here to raise the bar. I'm not here to lower the bar, but I'll find the balance between giving you some great understanding in a way that you can capture it and it makes sense to you, still in a way that I'm going to help you raise the bar. Definitely send you on your way to your goal. That's definitely what will happen. All right. So in this episode, there can be some key points that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about defining the trauma mindset. Like I said a moment ago, give me a minute for that. I just want to make sure that I give you some pieces that we're going to talk about just to get you excited and staying tuned. So not only are we going to talk about defining the trauma mindset, I'm going to talk about the trauma mindset and its impact on goal setting. Like I said a moment ago, because it impacts goal setting. What we're also going to do, we're going to talk about, give me 1 second here. Because I have my little notes here that I'll make sure that I cover everything and you don't miss anything. Give me 1 second. We're also going to talk about how do we navigate trauma-based obstacles, right? Because we all face obstacles, but the ones that I'm going to talk about is trauma-based. It's based on the trauma mindset. That's why when we face obstacles, we can't use just anything to overcome that obstacle. If you experience trauma and you may be holding a trauma mindset, you're going to need to understand what the difference is between regular obstacles and trauma-based obstacles. Did I make that clear, Coach Sonia?
Yes,
Okay. Along with that, I'm going to introduce you to a valuable resource. Oh my God. One thing we do a lot of research, even though like we know a lot about trauma, I'm always encouraging myself and my team to always do more research because new things come up over time, right? So because we're doing that and because I try to like give value in our lives, to make sure you understand, I stepped back and I was telling Coach Sonia, we just got too much information. I think I'm bringing too much information to this live. So what we had to do and what I had to do was decide what I'm going to talk about tonight and what I'm not going to talk about. And the reason why I said that is where that resource comes in, because there's so much more that we don't have time to share with you that, you know what? You may have to purchase that valuable resource. And I'm going to talk about that resource in a little bit. And in the beginning, I can say this much. In the beginning, I was calling it a worksheet. Guys, it's actually a workbook. It is a workbook. I could not give enough information and make it a worksheet. That's just not going to happen. Again, we're all about giving you value. We're all about giving you information that's going to help you. So I'm going to talk more about that worksheet. So stay tuned. All right? Stay tuned. So if you're curious again about learning about what's stopping you, Stay tuned. All right, beautiful souls. So let's go back to talking about the trauma mindset. You know what the trauma mindset is clearly what it states. It says it is a mindset of somebody that experienced trauma. Real simple, trauma mindset. But let me go a little bit deeper because you know that term is so cliche.
Natalie,
Go ahead.
I would like for you to introduce yourself and who you with, and then give me the opportunity to tell the ladies how they can. You know, I know we're excited about the
Hey,
topic because I'm already
girl,
thinking about
thank you.
everything I want to talk about it, and I'm so excited. But we
That-
have
thank-
so much information. We're doing so much research and work through this week. We've been working through Christmas, through New Year's to start the January 2024 in a great
yes.
sentiment.
Oh my God.
She's taking her life back. So I'm gonna start first, so you can take a moment of breather because I know you're super
Thank
excited.
you. Yeah, what Sonia's talking about is like we didn't do the introduction, the housekeeping, and she's right. I have been so excited over the last month to bring you this
Yes.
topic that I just went right into it. So I'm gonna let Coach Sonia do what she does, and she's gonna share about herself, and she's gonna tell you the housekeeping and how it works, and then I'm gonna share a little bit about myself. Then I'm gonna get into the topic. I can't believe, and I never forget that. Like
No,
today, I
no, but
forgot
we're
it.
so excited. We're just talking about
I'm
it a few
so
minutes.
excited about what we're bringing. I'm just so excited. But go ahead, Coach Sonia.
Okay, well, hi, ladies. Welcome to a Women's World Talk Show, our YouTube Live. I am trauma addiction recovery coach Sonia. For those of you that don't know me, I am an addiction recovery coach who specializes in supporting women who have experienced addiction as a trauma response. With my own personal experience of navigating, overcoming various traumas and navigating the challenging path of recovery, I'm dedicated to helping other women with similar situations and committed to provide a safe and supporting um, space for my coaching clients to heal and grow. I do not treat addiction directly, ladies, but we do provide you all with the resource and we can lead you to the straight path where you can go and get the treatment that you need if you're still in addiction. We i do help the women that are already in the recovery path. I want to make that very clear. If you're already in recovery, like me when I was in recovery, but you feel like there's something missing and you can't get, like Natalie said, the trauma mindset, and we're trying to get to that next level but something's stopping us, so I do help direct you. Instead, I provide you with tools, techniques to help my coaching clients to develop resilience and self-care practices that support their overall well-being. Okay, so trauma addiction recovery coach, ladies, right here. So again, welcome to a Women's Worth Talk Show, our YouTube live. She's taking her live back. Today we are talking about unpacking the trauma mindset. So now let me show you, ladies, how you can join in and get all the tools and all the information we have for you all. So first, I want you to know that this is not just a show. This is an interactive experience.
Yes.
Interactivity participation is in the heart of it. So here's how you can join in. Um, First, we're going to have an opening and welcoming segment, which is the one that we're doing right now. So once we do, if you're watching our live right now, I want you to put on the comments where you're tuning from. Let us know where you watching us from, where you from. Share your name if you want to. I will be monitoring the comments, and there are ways that you can participate. You can comment on it. You can ask questions, and we will be monitoring and we will respond back to you. We would also have a live and question session. So and this live in question, Natalie will be asking a question. If she do, then I know she always got a question for you, like she did at the beginning. So you can respond to her question and let us know what you think about the question, and then we can see how we can help you or respond as well. So if you have any questions or want to share any thoughts or provide insight in our live chat, our team is here to engage with you, and we want to hear your input. There will
Absolutely.
be announcements, like Natalie said, announcements about the workbook, announcements about the new coaching packages that she's been working on very hard for this 2024. So there will be announcements. Remember that we're building a community here and you are an
Yeah.
integral part of it. Okay. We will be providing at the end of the session with some resources and tips. We'll provide valuable worksheets, tips, resources related to discussion. If you find this video, you will find it at the end of the video description. Okay. So don't hesitate to use these tools and enhance your understanding and personal growth, ladies. And at the end of the segment, we'll discuss about our next week's topic.
Yes.
So we want to hear your voice. What topics would you like for us to explore in the future episodes? Share your ideas in the live chat, ladies. We want to hear from you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now I'm going to introduce you back to Mindset Coach Natalie. It's a revolution, I'm telling you.
It is. Yeah. God, I'm so excited. Totally forgot the introduction of Sonia and the housekeeping rules because they're so important. Like she said, you're a part of this. It's not just Sonia. We want to hear from you. So whether you're watching this live or whether you watch the replay, please respond and comment in the section. Let us get to know you, right? And we're in Atlanta. That's where we're from. We're in Atlanta, Georgia, both of us, and we want to hear where you're from. How far are we reaching? All right. So let me share just a brief history about me. I even forgot to share about me. Like Sonia, shared about, we're not just here talking the talk. We actually walk that walk. I am the CEO and founder of She's Taking Her Life Back. And She's Taking Her Life Back was born out of my traumatic experiences as well as my trauma healing experiences. And just being so excited of wanting to share with other women in combination with all that I learned over the 32 years of counseling and the last probably 10, 12 years of counseling, I really went into training about trauma. And we were required to because we began to understand that most people that go into substance abuse treatment have experienced trauma. And the reason why I'm talking about substance abuse treatment, because that's my area where I specialize in. Sonia is a trauma recovery coach, and like she said, she doesn't treat addictions. But in my experience over the 32 years, I did. I am, in addition, a board certified addiction counselor. I'm also certified in anger management. I'm highly trained in trauma recovery, criminal thinking, and on and on and on. So I'm going to utilize a lot of those professional counseling skills. Not a lot, because there's a difference between therapy and coaching. But I'm going to use a lot of some of what I've learned and interchange with the coaching experience that I've learned, because I did a lot of research and learning about being a trauma mindset coach. And I don't talk about it a lot, but I'm actually certified as a trauma mindset coach, right? So having said that, not only that, I have been through domestic violence myself. I've been through a cycle of domestic violence relationships. And I too was stuck with the question, like, why I keep attracting these unhealthy men in my life, and kind of did the work to figure out there was something in my mindset that attracted me to them. And a lot of times unknowingly, because I would say to myself, well, the next one's going to be a better one. Only to find out that towards the end of that relationship, it was just one more perpetrator of domestic violence that I was with, until I began to do some trauma healing. And when I did some trauma healing, I kind of figure out what was going on that I kept attracting those relationships. In addition to that, I experienced childhood sexual assault. And we all know that robs you of your safety, your sense of safety. So through my trauma healing, I even had to learn how to be safe in the world. I can tell you this, I was never one of those women who said, all men are no good. And there are women out there who had relationships with toxic men, have shut down on the possibility of having any kind of relationship. That wasn't me. I know that I wanted a good relationship, and I experienced one great, healthy relationship who was the love of my life. And because I've been with him, I understood that there were good men out there, but I knew I needed to do some healing with my trauma mindset, because otherwise I'm going to keep attracting unhealthy men. And when I got in a relationship with him, who's my daughter's father, Frankie, I actually, my unhealed trauma mindset caused me to call off our wedding. Like
Wow.
I didn't heal, and I didn't see him for who he was because of my insecurities. So not only would we want to learn to get away from toxic men, we want to heal our mindset so we won't push away Mr. Right like I did. So with all of that, I've learned a lot about trauma, and as a result of that, I was one of those women who used alcohol and drugs to cope with my trauma responses. I didn't know at the time I was doing that. I was just thinking I'm chilling with my friends, but I realized later, to the extent that I was doing that because I didn't want to feel, I didn't want to feel the anxiety. I didn't want to think about the memory. I wanted to tune out. But as a result of all that healing work, I just recently celebrated 35 years of being substance use free, and I'm excited about that. So the combination with my professional experience and my personal experience, I'm not walking the walk. I'm sorry, I'm not talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. The same with Coach Sonia. She's on our team because she's just not talking the talk. She's walking the walk. She had similar experiences. She got on her journey of healing, and here she is today to share with you ladies how you can do this. Right? So that's about a little bit about me, because there's so much more. So having said that, and you guys understand that we didn't just talk the talk, or we're walking the walk. I want to take that and move into today's topic, which is based on resolution, again, revolution, conquering challenges, and setting a trauma-informed goals for 2024. Right? We didn't come to play. We did not come to play. We come to help you take your life back, right? So, yeah, this is actually, if I didn't say it already, this is actually part one of a 5-part series under Resolution Revolution. We're going to equip you. Again, we can't go through everything, but we're going to give you some resources to help you with the parts that, my ring light went out. Did I step on it? Hold on, guys. My ring light went out. I don't want to be so dark. Give me 1 second. Right.
Well, ladies, while Natalie is back, let me tell you a little bit something. So, this is Resolution Revolution, and the series is about conquering challenges and setting trauma informed goals for 2024. So, when we chose this, we were thinking about revolution. It's like we're starting a whole movement on She's Taking Her Life Back, on taking our life back, like for reals, working on those tools,
Yeah.
working on our traumas, whatever obstacle that is stopping us from moving forward. That's what we're here to do. So Natalie's light is working.
No, it happened. I wound up stepping on the cord, and it came apart. But I'm back. I'm back. And let's continue. Again, like I said, this is only part one, 5-part series. So we're going to be doing this for the next 5 weeks. So stay tuned. It's going to be really action packed, this 5-part series. You're going to learn a lot. We want it to be interactive. We're just excited. But let me go forward. So let's talk about what is the trauma mindset, what it is, before we can even go forward in reaching goals that we've never been able to reach before because of the trauma mindset. I want to give you a clear definition of what the trauma mindset is and how it impacts us in achieving our goals. Again, so if you've never been able to achieve your goal because of different obstacles, we're going to talk about why tonight. Right? So the trauma mindset is how our thoughts and our feelings get shaped after experiencing some painful events. Again, whether it's domestic violence, childhood or adult sexual assault, any trauma like that. And there's many other traumas, but we basically focus on those traumas, including substance use. Substance use for those who have used it to mask their anxiety. And that's just for that part. Not all of our clients will be clients that use substances, but some of them have. Some of them have. That was their way of coping with their trauma response. But after those experiences, they affect our lives. Our trauma mindset affects how we see ourselves. It affects how we see other people, and it also affects our future. It often leads us to feeling like worried. We don't trust anybody. We unsure about what's ahead. That way of thinking can make us doubt, ladies. It can make us doubt the world ahead. It can cause us to say, we don't want to go ahead because I'm too afraid, because what fear means to us. So if you haven't, like, for example, worked with your belief system surrounding feelings that were attached to the past, like fear, mistrust, all those things, when you go into your future to try to tackle your goal, for everybody, whether you experience trauma or not, you're going to face a little bit of fear, because when we talk about going forward, you're going into the world of an unknown, right? So there is a level of fear for everyone. But if you're somebody who experienced trauma, your fear is going to be kicked up. Like, let's say, for example, the normal person that feels fear between a scale of 1 to 10. Let's say they fear like at number 5. Let's say at 5, but you experience trauma, your feelings of fear is probably like at a 9 or 10 or 11. So I just wanted to share that. It affects all of that, right? So when we think about ourselves having a hard time connecting with people, we find it tough to set goals and believe that you can achieve them, especially when you come from a place where you learn not to trust anybody. Don't trust anybody, right? So that's going to stop you from connecting to people. You may stick to the same people because you're familiar with them. Um, you may stick, and those people that you stick to may be people who don't have that same thought about moving to what's next. You know what I mean? So it's important to learn how to trust again. It's a learn, because you're going to need to trust someone to show you the way, especially if you've never been to that place. If you've never been to that place, it is fearful, it's anxiety driven, it affects us in a major way. So it's important to change your mindset about those things. Does that make sense? Sonia, do you want to chime in on that?
Yes, I just want to comment. When you were speaking about fear, Natalie, I just got, one of my biggest traumas. I've experienced so much trauma in my life, but I guess the one that always stood to me was the one being molested as a child. And it didn't just happen inside the house, but can you hear me? Oh, she muted it. Okay. Not only at my, it happened in my house, but it also everywhere where we were left, like to babysit. It happened over and over. It didn't matter where we were left. I was always being sexually assaulted, and it was to a point where it stopped being like something that I was so traumatized as a child when it happened. It was scared, and the pain I felt and I had to go through. It just became like I already knew where I'm going. I already knew a man was gonna do this to me because it happened over and over. It was like at a certain point when I got to that age where it was normal to me that I already knew they left me there. I was already scared. My heart was already beating when I saw there were men in the house. They were not all women because I already know what was gonna happen to me. And as I grew and I took all this and I went in through my domestic violence and everything that it took as in my trauma. After my healing, Natalie, I still noticed there was a situation where I was at a shelter recovery center in Texas before I moved to Georgia. And this is something I went through. And it's still an experience that bothers me. And it happened once over here in Georgia. Even though I was going through the process of recovery and I was trying to heal and going to therapy and going to counseling, I was sleeping outside because I was at a shelter, but there was no room inside, no bed. So they provided me some pillows and
Mhm.
blankets. So I was outside the shelter because I really wanted to get better and I was waiting for a bed inside whenever they had a vacancy. This was in my own hometown.
Mhm.
The security guard of the place, I woke up feeling somebody rubbing on my behind. Somebody was touching me.
Mhm.
So I woke up from under the blanket from this and it was the security guard. And I froze. I didn't tell him to stop. I didn't say, "What are you doing?" I didn't say, why is you touching me? I froze, and it took me a lot of time for me. Why didn't I say nothing? Why didn't I, you know, I did went the next day. I did have the courage because I'm a 20-some-year-old woman trying to go through this recovery place. I'm not a child. You can't scare me. So I did go in the place and I said, this is what happened. So I don't think I want to wait for a bit here, because if this happening to me outside, I don't want to know what's going to happen in here. They did review the cameras. The security did got fired, terminated that same day or next day when I went and talked to them. But I froze. It was a fear that I felt like that wasn't just gonna be all that, the touching. It was gonna be something else. He was gonna ask for something else. And me being a person that was just coming out of addiction, I feel like, how do you fight this other person when they see you as the addict, the person on the street? It was very hard for me. And I
Mhm.
experienced, and this is a fear that even after years, when I came to Georgia, it happened at the train station. Somebody grabbed a guy just randomly asking me for a cigarette, trying to have a conversation. I'm trying, waiting for the bus, ignore. I walk away. He grabbed my arm, and I froze for a minute. I froze until I came back to my senses. I did started counting. Okay, I'm right here. I'm right here. Started pinching myself, and then I realized he was still talking, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. But I froze, and my heart was beating so hard, and I had to say, "You need to let me go." And then I had to go to the security right there at the bus station, train station, and say, this he just grabbed my whole arm trying to get my number. Like, it wasn't okay, but it is experience we do because we haven't healed from those past traumas, Natalie.
Yeah, and that's some real stuff, Sonia. I want to add a story. What Sonia was talking about, what happened to her during the time of her use. But what I want to share, things that happen now. When you're no longer using substances, when you're out of the domestic violence relationship, when you're not experiencing that, and then you want to start looking at your life and saying, I want better. I kind of got out of those situations. What can I do with my life? And then people start thinking about their purpose. Start thinking about, let me go back and start reaching back for the goals that I used to have before this traumatic experiences. And then when they do that, they find themselves, not all, but find themselves procrastinating, sabotaging successful opportunities, even though they truly want to go to their next. And that's frustrating. And that it was my experience. And one of the things that happened to me, I think, let me see, I have so many instances that there were parts of my trauma mindset that wasn't healed, um, started showing up in my life. Right. And this is way into, me being a counselor, and way into me being in my recovery. I often talk about, this book that I wanted to write. I'll often talk about that. I share about, like, took 7 years for me to write that book. And my book just came out in 2023 after 7 years. And it wasn't because I didn't know what to write. It was because there was something in my mindset that held this belief unknowingly that was telling me I wasn't deserving of it. So I procrastinated, I sabotaged, I just, took it slowly. I put it down. I couldn't accomplish that. And I was so frustrated. I can't tell you how it felt, because I was dissatisfied with where I was at. Yeah, it was good for a moment, but you know what? I wanted more to my life. Have you ever felt that, ladies? Put that in the chat. I wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted more, and I couldn't get to that more. And I didn't understand why until I started working, not only learning about trauma from a professional perspective, but that was my time. I said, it's time for me to go back into therapy, and then I went into EMDR therapy because it helped me transform my mindset. And I learned a lot. So I learned a lot by me being in counseling myself for trauma. And I learned through professional areas, learned about trauma, and the combination of them both, along with having an accountability partner. And we talked about that last week. So if you didn't see the video last week, it was Monday, about accountability partners. It is so important for you to get one. So, because I needed a combination of all those things to help me, because there still was little areas that I need to work on when it came to trauma. I shared in the last live, and I want to repeat this because I don't know if anybody gets this, and it came up on our last live, and I actually was sharing that. You know what? Oh, I think somebody's in the comment section. Um, I was sharing that, and it was just in my mind, and I'm like, I've been plagued by this, and I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking about. This it plagued my mind so much, and people don't get it. Like I'm often seen as somebody and I've heard the words look like they got it all together. I've heard that over and over again. I heard that I'm this strong woman, and I look like a go-getter. I look like nothing bothers me. And I want to tell you that I shared in the last live, and I've thought like all my life, they don't know me, because what they're looking at is how I performed on the outside. What they were looking at is this. They didn't see what was going on in my mindset. They didn't see that, I didn't trust people. My first trauma was the fact that I wasn't raised by my father, that he was inconsistent in my life. I didn't even know at the time that was even a trauma. I didn't even know the fact that my father not in my life was a trauma. I was like, you know what? He just back and forth, whatever. My mother's holding it down. My mother's doing a wonderful job at it. But there still was a void when it came to my father. Yeah, you checking the comments? I see comments coming.
Yes, I see. Good
Yeah.
evening.
So that was actually a trauma. That's why I tell people, like, if you're somebody, and you think that trauma doesn't affect you, be real careful about that, particularly when you're trying to reach goals and you're not able to achieve them, and you self-sabotage and you do all these things and you just can't get to that goal. Just explore the possibility they may or may not be a trauma that happened so long ago. I want to tell you this as a professional counselor. So many clients, and I'm going to repeat this and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, so people get sick of me repeating it. I don't want to tell you how many people that I've counseled who thought because the trauma they're talking about happened at 5 years old, that is no longer affecting them now that they're 55. Really believe that. Believe that, that was in the past. I'm so past that. That happened when I was 5 years old. I'm here to tell you, if you have not healed your trauma mindset, and it doesn't just happen in mindset, trauma affects the body.
Yes.
Anybody read that book, which is awesome. The Body Keeps the Score. You need to check that book out. You can do some healing in your mindset. And that's why I also, did some somatic work. Somatic work is dealing with the trauma that's in your body. So let me not go. Let me stay with the mindset. It's hard
Natalie,
with the information. You just want to share it all.
Natalie, before you continue going, let me say, Salam, I have a Facebook user. I think it says Salam, good evening. I want to
Oh,
say
that's Aida.
good evening. Thank you for
Hey.
joining us today. Hi, we cannot see your name because you're from Facebook, but I always recommend you to give StreamYard permission, to grant permission so we can see your name. So all the Facebook users that are going through the StreamYard, please allow StreamYard permission so we can see who we is talking to. And Natalie, we have a comment for you here that says, Coach Natalie, because many of us women have never been taught to get the more we want, we watch others stay stuck and we end up repeating that cycle. And that is very true about
Oh,
repeating that
yes.
cycle.
Let me read that. It says, and Coach Natalie, because many of us women have never been taught how to get the more we want. Absolutely. Oh, you said it.
Mm.
You said it. I was somebody like growing up, like there was goals that I wanted to achieve, right? But when I looked around, I didn't see anybody who wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. Like even when, and I'm being real transparent, even when like I was in the counseling arena, like a lot of goals, like for therapists and counselors, not all of them, but a lot of their goals were to like, I want to become a director of a program, right? There was a goal. My goal was no, I want to open up my own clinic. And then when I was looking around, I wasn't seeing anybody that does that. And I really didn't have anybody in my experience or in my circle that was doing that. So I understand there was no one to teach me that I want more. And whoever that was, how I got to the place that I said, you know what, I want more and I'm going to get more. What I did is I started looking for a mentor. I started doing that. And I actually have a mentor now who's a man. I tell people he's a man. And the reason why I chose him, he's all about empowering women. But I had to look for people and I had to ask, like, will you be my mentor? Not everybody has that opportunity, right? So if you don't have that people around you to ask, let me tell you, YouTube is a great resource. Just like we're giving out this information on YouTube along with Facebook, I don't. I can't tell you how many times that I've used well uh, uh, intelligent influencers that were in it for real, that do this kind of work, and I would watch the videos. They became my mentor. They became that person that I had in my life that was going to help me get more. They
Yes.
were going to be it. I didn't know them. They may have never met me, but I was watching their video. And one of the men, I have a whole wealth. I'm just going to share one. One of the men that I watch is Dr. Joe Expenza. I don't know if anybody heard of him. This man is a neuroscientist. You want to talk about mindset and trauma? I started following that man. I
Mhm.
started following Peter Levine. Peter Levine is one of the, oh my God, he's one of the pioneers when it comes to trauma. I started following him because I wanted to learn trauma. I wanted to take what I learned, like, when you're a counselor, you have to go through training. I said that wasn't enough. I wanted to get around people who knew this, knew this, knew this, knew this. So that's a way to have somebody in your life as a mentor if you don't have anybody around you. Right. And that's why I'm so glad that you're on here, because thank God for not social media
Yes,
too, but
social
thank God for
media.
the internet came up, because now we can reach people all over the world. And that's when you can find people who can say, you know what? We want more, hang out with us, because we're all about getting more. Right. So if you said that, please continue to follow us, because I can tell you on this channel, we're all about getting more, and we're all about showing you how to get more, showing
Natalie, you
you
see
success.
Connor too. I don't really understand. I think this is something you want to get to, because I understand what Connor is saying. I think he used to engage as a child on online, and there were risky behaviors. So I am very careful. I have a son that he's 7 years old. He lives in Texas, and he's online a lot, and we had to watch him because he got to the point where he was calling friends, and we had to sit down with him, me and my sister and my brother, which that they're the ones that have him in school in Texas, and sit down with him and tell him that not everybody you meet online, they're not your friends. They're just people you play online, but they're not your friends, because when you start calling your friends, and then he thinks it's okay to exchange numbers, and you're just, I mean, you don't know if you're talking to a 30-year-old, to a 40-year-old. You don't know what type of comments. So I do see that you say that a lot of people took advantage from you. Now you were in your 20s. You had to go through therapy over childhood stuff,
Awesome.
and
Awesome.
I'm glad that you went to therapy. And
Yeah.
I'm glad if you found the healing that you needed. But if you still feel like there's something missing, Connor, I recommend you. She's taking her life back. Yes, it's women, but we don't say men cannot come and learn from
Right.
us,
Hmm.
because this is
Absolutely.
for the tools and the techniques is for everybody in plural. So welcome to She's Taking Her Life Back. Because my
Hmm.
husband, I tell Natalie, my husband says sometimes when he's doing his recovery, and he's doing his classes online, be like, baby, it's been a bunch more. He says, don't talk to me. I'm taking my life back. I'm like, oh, okay. So let me go do some of myself. So thank you for joining us, Connor, today. And somebody says, I love me some YouTube. Well, this is a place to be, because we have a lot to share with you all about um, self-limited beliefs, self
Yeah.
self sabotage, unhealthy relationships, and we're not saying the negative. We want you to move forward and break free from all that. I was a person that was one of my biggest, the self-limited beliefs and the self-sabotage. That was me over and over on a cycle, because I heard it as a child. Like Natalie said, we are talking about unpacking the trauma mindset, and I love that Natalie chose this title for the first week, because
Mhm.
Natalie, I was packing all that negativity I had as a child. You're not good enough. you're not worth it. Oh, your sister's better with you. Oh, this person, why can't you be like this person? And it was just, and I was always comparing myself to everybody around me. I still do sometimes, so I'm still working on it. But yes, yes, like it is very hard and difficult when we carry all those traumas with us. So stay tuned.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Sonia, for sharing that and being transparent. That's what I love about our show because we're real transparent. But I was just reading what Connor said. I don't know if you're still there, Connor. But I can so identify with what you were talking about, not in the same way, but let me explain. Like you said, I used to engage in risky online behavior and people would take advantage of me in this way in my 20s. I had kind of similar, but it wasn't online. I was engaging in relationships offline, and they took advantage of me.
Mhm.
They were perpetrators of domestic violence. They would, I went through all of that. And what I learned, and this was the beginning of really me really, really, really healing. And I'm so glad you said that you went to therapy. Good for you.
Yes,
Good
yes,
for you. Good for
absolutely,
you. But
absolutely.
that was the beginning. And this was hard. This was some hard stuff. Because when you really, really talking about really changing your mindset and really healing, you're going to have to dare to look in the mirror. You're going to have to dare to look. So what I did, and I'm going to speak for me, what I did when knew I was really, really ready to break the cycle of domestic violence relationships in my situation, I had to stop and say, who was the common denominator in all those relationships? And it was me.
Mhm.
Now, I wasn't letting the perpetrator off the hook. Let me tell you, some of them paid the price for that. But even though they deserved to get the price paid, I had to say, why do I keep attracting them? And back then I can tell you, like, I was able to, this was years ago, play victim, like they're doing this to me. And this is not UConn, this is me. I played it. Poor me, they're doing this to me. We had one show when Sonia was talking about when we met somebody. I can remember sharing with them on day one. You know how when you say, so tell me about yourself. And like, what happened with your last relationship? Why did you break up?
Oh,
Connor, have you ever had those experiences? And like on day one, I'm like, my last relationship, it was a domestic violence relationship, and he did this to me. I'm actually telling this person who I am. I'm giving this person control over me. I would do this. So at some point, I had to say, Natalie, there's something inside that you have to fix. You have to fix this. And part of that fixing again is I had to look in the mirror and I had to figure out why this kept happening. I even now, like if I notice that there's a behavior that I have that I don't like and it can continue to happen over and over again, I automatically know not all the time is because it's the outside stuff. It's like, okay, Natalie, let's go back and let's do some work on that mindset. There's something that's connecting you to that. And when I say connecting, we cannot prevent bad people from coming in my life. So I'm not saying it that way because we'll never get to the place where we can just look and see like, oh, there are signs, but
yes.
sometimes, a wolf comes in sheep clothing and we have to look for the sign, but what I've learned today is I've learned to trust. When it comes to trust, I've learned to trust me. So
Mhm.
I don't feel like I have to stop looking for Mr. Right. I understand that I might have to go through a lot of Mr. Wrongs to get to Mr. Right, but I learned to be safe. You know why? Because I learned like if Mr. Wrong shows up, I'm out. I am out. I am out. Where years ago, when Mr. Wrong showed up, I stayed and I stayed. And the reason why I stayed and I was so comfortable because that was a reflection of my family, where I came from. That was my normal. And I had to rewrite the wrong story that I was shown and told in my life. And when I began to do the
Oh, yes.
healing, when I began to do the healing and facing some painful stuff, but I didn't do it alone. Like you, Con, I went to therapy. Now I'm in therapy because when I know that there's patterns show up in my life that I'm not happy with, I'm going to seek help. Whether it's a coach, whether it's a EMDR therapist, I'm going to somebody for help, right? So like now I tell people I'm not in therapy because I want to break the cycle of domestic violence relationships because I've done that. I'm at the level where she's taking life back is about. Now I'm at the level about, okay, I'm ready to achieve this goal. I want to achieve my ultimate goal that I've been carrying around for years, but something keeps sabotaging it. Something keeps causing me not to reach that goal. Then I say, okay, we need to do some more work on the mindset. There's something back there. And people, there are people who don't understand what the subconscious mind is, because the subconscious mind is what holds your beliefs.
Yeah.
And your subconscious mind, you are not aware of. This is nothing that you can see or do. It's just like we operate on automatic pilot and we can't even see we're doing it. That's why we need accountability partners. That's why we need coaches. That's the reason why we have trauma addiction recovery coach Sonia, because I clearly know, who's somebody who specializes in addiction. I clearly know that even if like you've been sober for 20, 30 years, we've heard those people that relapse right after 30 years, is a high chance they didn't deal with their trauma. High chance they did not, because it was too painful. I don't want to think about it. It's over. It's in my past. It was when I was 5 years old. They don't understand that subconsciously, unaware, it is still affecting your life. And that's the reason why we procrastinate. That's the reason why we sabotage goals. That's the reason why we can't get there. So one of the things that I love when coaching came out, I love the fact, because everybody's not going to embrace therapy. They just not, for whatever reason, they're not. So when coaching came up, if you get a good coach, if you get a good coach, a coach can help you with the step by step on how to get to the next step. How do I get to the next step? How do I get to the next step? What therapy does, it resolves the stuff from the past. So because I am a counselor, because I have that experience of coaching and counseling, I kind of can do a little bit. I won't do too much, because I will tell you, if you need a therapist, you need to go to therapy. I know when the cutoff line is, but I can kind of help you with that mindset about stuff that happened in the past, and at the same time, have you take steps to your future. Have your life set up in a way that you can take more steps and get closer and closer to your goal. So back to what about trauma addiction recovery coach Sonia, there are people who are going towards their goals and they have not used, right? But when you start looking towards your goals that you have not achieved, that's the world of the unknown. That is a world you have never been to. And when you talk about the unknown, and I don't know if you heard this earlier, Connor, if you're still there, you're going to experience anxiety. You're going to experience some level of fear, right? But if you don't heal your trauma mindset, this fear that normally happens with people, it's going to tell you the wrong story. Like, for an example, if you're looking for what's next in your life, right? This whatever it is, and you get this fear, if you haven't healed your mindset, that fear is not going to be kind of that normal fear. It's going to be fear who tells you they're not going to accept me on this level because I'm not worthy. That fear is going to connect you to your past trauma. Yeah, the reason why I didn't make it is because someone told me all my life that I wasn't good enough. And that's still in your mind, whether you may know, not you, Connor, but that's in people's mind that haven't healed. You may be going through anxiety because it's a new place, which is normal. But if you experience trauma, that anxiety is going to say something different. So you need the tools on how to calm that anxiety, right? So you can go forward. But if you don't do that, that anxiety and that fear is going to tell you, I can't do that. It's too much for me. Then we start making excuses. I don't have time to reach that goal. We start all those excuses, like we talked on our last show, all the excuses, and then you wind up self-sabotaging your goals. You wind up procrastinating on your goals. So I say that because you can break free from that. And that's why Coach Sonia and I are on here to help you. She's on there to help you just in case you go to your next and you get fearful and your anxiety kicks up and your fear kicks up to the point that it is overwhelming. She's going to be there to help you, hopefully not relapse. Because like I said, there have been people who had 30 years and relapsed because they didn't deal with their trauma. Coach Sonia's here to catch you, hopefully. To catch you, give you the tools. Like, if you're experiencing this is what you can do to not relapse.
Absolutely.
because relapse only this is such
Typical.
a relapse don't doesn't just happen because of negative things. It happens because you're going in an uncomfortable place.
Yes, Natalie. That's what you said. What is the trauma mindset and the impact on achieving goals? And even when we are moving forward in our life, like I said, one of the fears is when we have a job and we try to get that other position and we an employee, we trying to move to the next position, but we scared of getting saying no, being denied. And what happens? Those are some of the things that can happen, Natalie. Because I was thinking about this right now when you said what the impact on achieving your goals. You might be I might be doing great and everything is going well, and then I apply for this job and they say no, and hearing the word no again and knowing that that was a trauma a real big trauma impact on my life as a child and as growing and as an adult, hearing always no no, that could have sent me back on the path of addiction, knowing that I got said no again. I'm never
Yeah.
gonna get there. I'm never gonna make it. They're always gonna see me for what I'm seeing because I haven't healed. So I'm still looking at this person that I used to be if you
Yes.
don't heal. So
Hmm.
that's what we don't want. We don't want you to keep looking at the past. We want
Yes.
you to move forward in the past. Of course, we want to carry we're going to carry some of our scars, but we don't have to carry the pain. We don't
Yeah.
have to carry the pain with us.
We don't have to. We don't have to. Wow. I see a comment that says, Coach Natalie, you sound like my grandmother. You have to look at the role you played in a negative situation, even if it's only a small role. Whoever that Facebook user is, your grandmother is so right. But
Yeah.
can I be honest? Like, I heard, because my mother is a psychotherapist. Well, she passed away, was a psychotherapist. So I was raised by a
Mhm.
psychotherapist. And she used to tell me these different things, right? And one of them was, you have to look and see the role you play with it. And then when I got into recovery for substance use, I heard the same thing. You have to look at the role you played in it. And when I heard from those two places, I was angry. I'm like, how in the world are you going to tell me I played a role in being with a domestic violence partner and what he did to me? How was it my fault? But I wasn't looking at it from the right perspective. And it took me to get to the point in my life that, you know what? Everything I'm trying in life is just not working. Let
Mhm.
me be open to seeing another way. And another way was telling me I had to look at the part that I played. And what I've learned to do, even in those domestic violence relationships, I learned to do like a review of them, even though that I wasn't in it no longer, and seeing what I needed to fix in me. No, I didn't do anything to cause the violence. I did nothing, but I had to look at stuff like, why did I track that person? And why at some point I didn't say this is not working and get out sooner? Why did I stay and stay and stay? Because the domestic violence happens at different stages in people's relationships, right? What happened in most of my relationships, the violence didn't happen like right away. It happened probably, one of them happened in year 5, one of them happened in year 2. But I actually bypassed a lot of signs that I should have picked up on. And
Yes.
if I did, I would have left long ago.
Yes.
Be honest, there were some signs that I did pick up on early. I saw the signs early, but in my mindset, I had this need to be loved so much. I needed to feel loved and wanted that my eyes put blinders on.
Yes. That's what I said.
I wasn't looking at the flags, red
Yeah.
flags. I was looking at, you know what? There's something I'm getting out of here. And I posted on social media a couple of years ago. You know what? I wanted to feel love so bad. It didn't matter if it came from a man who's giving me a false sense that he loved me. It
Yes.
didn't even matter if he was lying to me. I was so void of self-love that, you know what, I got involved. So that's the part I had to take a look at. Why would I even override flags that this man was not the one and stay in that relationship? That's the part that I had to take a look at. That's the part that I had to learn to fix. And I did that with help. So if you're in that situation, and you find yourself stuck, whether it's, wanting to get a better relationship, but too afraid because you're going to think you're going to get another Mr. Wrong again, or you don't want to go after that promotion, or you don't want to, whatever it is, there's a way to get through that. There's a way, there's a step way. But I want to be honest, it's not going to happen by you just saying, you know what, this is a New Year's resolution, and this
I'm
year
gonna
I'm
do
going to blank. Has that really worked in the
it.
past?
10
It's
years.
not, yeah, it's going to take someone teaching you how to do that,
Yes.
because you can't teach yourself something that you are not even aware of. You can't take yourself to a place that you have never been. You can't. I'm going to look through the comments again. Sonia, let me know if I need to answer something, because I want to move on with um,
I
this
was
topic.
just reading that Connor said he think that his trauma plus his autism really
Mhm.
negatively affects his dating game, and I feel, Connor, that that is a trauma mindset too as well. Thinking because we feel like all those unhealthy relations, not being able to be in a healthy relationship in our relationship because we have a problem, that means that we still feel that we're missing something, we're lacking something, and we see. So we have to break free from that belief that you have, that you think that all these things that happen to you, it's the reason why you can't achieve a goal or move forward or be in a relationship. Because I had the same, and this is without talking about addiction. Because even though I experienced with addiction, and I'm a trauma addiction recovery coach, I've experienced child abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault. I've experienced a lot of traumas in my life, and I can tell you this. It is it When I was in a relationship, I always thought that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. That the men were better than me because that's how I was raised. As my trauma as a child was raised, that men were better than women. Women were just supposed to lay and let the men, and we were supposed to serve them, clean the kitchen, clean the house, raise the children. But I didn't want that. I really, even as a child, knowing this, that's not what I wanted. And then as an adolescent, and being in this, I also became aggressive in my relationship. And then I was codependent. I was enabler at the same time because it was so much trauma on me that I wasn't breaking free. But I found my peace by healing, by doing the work, like Natalie said. Natalie is a great mindset coach. She has helped me through a lot through this 5 years, and I am on a healthy relationship. Even though it took me a long time for me to say yes, I'm getting married. We had the baby first. The baby came, and now what are you waiting for? It's because my mentality was like, if we get married, then he gonna feel like he owned me, and I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want to lose the great relationship I had with him. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. That's my spouse. That's my fiance. But I didn't want to get married because I was afraid once that paper was signed, he was gonna feel like he owned me. Now I gotta do what he says because I'm his wife. But we've been married 6 months and ain't nothing changed. He loves me like yesterday. So yes,
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Um, I was looking at something else Trauma said. I mean, not Trauma said, Connor said. I'm reading Connor says, I think my trauma plus my autism really negatively affects my dating game. I
yeah.
never had issues with substances. Um, I hope you don't mind that I say this, Connor, because I'm known as a truth teller, right? And an educator. And an educator. And this is an education moment I want to share with you. I want to share with you that your trauma and your autism is not what's negatively affecting your dating game.
Thank you.
Like when I was doing group as a counselor, I would ask people, why did they use substances? What was the reason? They would say, I use substances because someone died. Whatever, they give a whole list. Like I would list it on the board, then I would cross it out. And I said, none of those are the reasons why. The reason why I'm saying that, Connor, is because it's not your trauma, it's not your autism, it's your way of coping with them. Because it doesn't matter if you had trauma, it doesn't matter if you have autism, you can learn to cope with them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it kind of seems like I'm never going to have a good dating experience because I had trauma and because I'm autistic. That's not the truth. There's always ways to learn to cope no matter what the issue is, no matter what the challenge is, there is a way to cope. So it sounds like you already know about therapy. So whatever aspect you want to do that, know that those things are not stopping you. It's the lack of coping skills. Because like me, I experienced trauma. My experience with trauma will never go away. I can't change what happened in the past. Never gonna go away. But how I learned to desensitize the trauma responses I used to get, that can change. So I have my trauma, but now I'm dealing with it in a different way. So now it's not affecting me like it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Like now it's not causing me to procrastinate as much as we used to. Like we always share on this
Yeah.
channel, we're never going to be perfect, but we
Mm-hmm.
make a whole lot of progress and we've learned to take steps. One of the other important things, before I go on, this is just a wonderful topic. My God, one of the
Yes.
things, uh, every time I say something, not every time, I don't want to use that negative way of saying it. I just kind of lost my track just then. Um, and it's something about trauma, and I guess it'll come back to me.
Okay.
Kind of says, okay. Oh, it was not something else you said, Connor. Was a crappy social environment part of the issue with abusive partners? I don't know your situation, Connor. I really don't know, but I can say this: a large majority of people who connect to abusive partners generally had some kind of abuse in their childhood, whether they saw it in their household, whether they experienced it themselves. And what happens is, because it was in the household, you grow up feeling like that's a normal way to operate. So and this is what happened to me. So when you connect with abusive partners, it feels like I know this kind of behavior. This behavior is normal to me. So this, for me, this fits. And then we go into, well, I'll find some way to change it or fix it. And again, I don't know if that's just the situation, Connor. I don't know what kind of household you may have grown up in. I do want to say this: people also have to be careful when they say they have not experienced trauma, because there's forms of trauma that people experiences that they don't even know is trauma. People know the huge traumas, but they don't know traumas that they're overlooking. And that's why you need someone professionally to point those things out and say, you know what, let me help you connect the dots, because you may not think this is trauma, but it is. Let me give you an example, Connor. Like I said, my first trauma, I thought it was my domestic violence relationship. Then I said, okay, my trauma is, not feeling worthy in my family. Then I backtracked, and like my very first trauma was my father's inconsistency in my life, right? I realized that was my first trauma, because fathers hold a role. They provide the safety. They teach me how to be with a man. They teach me how a man's supposed to treat me. I didn't have that because my father was inconsistent and he wasn't a good model for what a man is. So I didn't have that. That left the void. My thinking way back then was, okay, my father wasn't there, but my mother is holding it down. My mother's working. Then later on, she went to school. She wanted to get her degree. She became a psychotherapist. I was like, my mother is my shiro. Thinking, okay, my father wasn't there, but I had my mother who held it down. My mother, no matter what she did, she will never be a father. Mother and fathers provide two different roles. So because my father was inconsistent, that left a void. I've talked to many people who said, no, I wasn't affected by my father. He just wasn't there. He was just a sperm donor. He don't matter. So he didn't even affect my life. They don't know. Yes, he did. That's an example of how people don't understand how some traumas are really traumas. They dismiss it, not knowing it affects your life. It may not be consciously, but subconsciously it affected my life. And then I said to myself, because I had so much anger from my father, and I said to myself, forget him, until I started my journey of transformation. And I was told, part of the reason why you keep on tracking these relationships is because you're chasing your father.
Mm.
And if you don't get to the point of beginning to heal your father not being there, and even for me, and this is me, not everybody can take this step, this is me. If you don't learn to forgive him, you're going to hold on to anger, which is going to keep connecting you to unhealthy men. When I heard that, as much as I had anger from my father, I said, if that's what's going to take for me to stop this cycle of unhealthy relationships, I'm doing it. And let me tell you this, it was not easy in the beginning. I was like, oh, I forgive you. And I'm like, I know, I don't forgive him. It was a struggle to the point where I repeated the behavior and I started learning how me not forgiving, and this is me because not everybody can forgive their fathers. I was like, whatever I got to do, if it's going to benefit my life, whatever I'm going to do. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My dad is okay. My both parents work. Dad works more. I do sometimes clash with dad. This doesn't apply to you, Connor, so I want you to know this. But what stuck out to me is I grew up in a 2-parent household. This is not for you because I don't even know your family. But for some people, when they say I grew up in a 2-parent household, what they're saying, and this is not you, Connor, please, this is not you. But I've learned that people think that because those 2 parents were in the household, they grew up with 2 healthy parents. When I talk about daddyless daughter and how that hole in your soul affects you, even if you had both parents in the household, for some women, you still can be a daddyless daughter. Let me give you an example. So there are some families that the father worked, and he was a great provider, brought home the money, came home, gave the money to the wife, said, wife, you take care of the household. I did my part, so I'm gonna lay on my easy chair and I'm gonna chill, leave me alone. I worked hard. I just want to relax. And that's all he does. So the family members see he's a great father because he provides really well. The only thing that man provided was finances. When we talk about people raising children, they are responsible for providing not only the finances, they're responsible for providing the emotional support. They're responsible for teaching your children about spiritual. They're supposed to teach their children about what it is to hug, to love, to kiss, to trust. And just coming home with finances is not going to teach you all those things. So even if the 2 parents are in the household and dad only comes home with the money, there's a piece in his role that is missing. For example, because I wrote the book, Daddyless Daughter, his part, he didn't teach, for example, his daughter, like, this is how you operate with men. This is what a good man looks like. A good man does this. A woman's first date should be with her father. He's supposed to say, this is how you do it. So I'm just saying that because there's some people that I've encountered had 2 parents in the household, but one of the parents didn't give everything they're supposed to give. Not that there is any perfect parent, because there's none. But I just want to use that example. Just having a 2-parent household doesn't equal that the house was a healthy household. Just growing up in a beautiful neighborhood doesn't mean you come from a great family. Let's look at the movie stars. Let's look at Michael Jackson. Let's look at Whitney Houston. Let's look at Prince, for example, who was millionaires, multi-millionaires. But guess what? They died. And they didn't die from natural causes because their money could not take care of the hole that was in their soul. That money, millions of dollars, could not take care of the hole in the soul. So I'm saying that it is so important to meet with someone, to let them assess, those who are professional at it, assess where the trauma may be. Again, I don't know you, Connor, but if you're attracted to abusive partners, there's a chance that that behavior was learned somewhere. And it could be in a big way, or it could have been in a subtle way. You could, and you have, again, you have to connect with someone, and you could do that. You're open to therapy, which is amazing. I love when people are open to therapy. You can ask that question, of somebody. You can research that question. I think so too, Connor. Cleaning, cooking, parenting should be a team sport. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for your contribution today, Connor. You bringing up great points that are on people's minds, and you're giving Coach Sonia and I an opportunity to be able to answer some of them. So thank you for that. Like Sonia said, even though you're a man, you still can get information from us. So everybody dies eventually, but I want to live. I want to
live a long, healthy life. Yes.
I want to live happy. Eventually, but I'm not ready to go yet. I got too much work to do, kind of. But I want to go back to this. What's our timing? 15 minutes. Okay. I
Yeah.
think I can do 15 minutes. So we were talking about the trauma mindset and understanding trauma mindset and know that our mindset shapes the way we think, the way we behave, and who we invite in our lives. It affects that, so it's important, really important to understand that it does affect our lives, right? So when we understand that when we don't have our trauma healed, it's kind of like having rose-colored glasses. See, the glasses I have on is clear, but if you have a trauma mindset, it's like your glasses are now, tinted glasses. It's
Yeah.
like you're not seeing out of a clear lens. You're seeing through the eyes of your trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So when we even talk about reaching our goals in 2024, it's going to require you again to go into uncharted territories. It's going to require you to meet people, like someone says, I had no one in my life to tell me that there was more. May have to meet people who you don't know that's going to teach you how to get more. But if you haven't resolved the trauma, your lack of trust is going to prevent you from connecting to other people. Your trauma mindset is going to cause you to believe like other people can get it, but not me. Not me. I can get other people. Yeah, I get Sonia and I get Natalie. They did some healing. They're doing this work. They're wonderful coaches, but that will not happen to me. It will not happen to me. And that's a belief that needs to be fixed because it's simply not true. It's your trauma mindset has you thinking that you can't, it's not possible for you. And that's just not true. It's just a matter of learning to rewrite the wrong story that you were told or to rewrite the wrong story you observed. It gave you the wrong belief about yourself, because that's what happened to me. Right? So let's move on. And I'm skipping through my little notes because there's so much I have, but we don't have that much time. One of the things about, again, I want to repeat, our trauma mindset has us thinking about our abilities to do something, our abilities to go forward. It can stop our progress. Recognizing and understanding that gives you some insight to the fact that you can overcome procrastination. You can foster a path forward and achieve goals if you understand that you can rewrite the story of your mindset. Well, not the story of what happened, but the story you told yourself about what happened. Because we tell us the wrong story. We tell ourselves the reason why my mother and father left was because of me. We tell ourselves the wrong story about what happened. I told myself the reason why all this happened in my life because something was wrong with me. I told myself the wrong story. Right? There are obstacles that trauma causes, and these obstacles cause us to affect our movement forward again. And I want to name some of the obstacles real quickly. Not healing your mindset, your trauma mindset will cause self-doubt and low self-esteem. Your trauma often leaves individuals, they start questioning their abilities. They start questioning their worth, and it leads to doubt. It leads again to low self-esteem. And those feelings of self-doubt and low self-esteem create a barrier to setting goals. Well, setting ambitious goals, because I'm somebody like I want to live like my ultimate purpose of why I was created. And if you have self-doubt or low self-esteem, you're going to say, well, I don't want to reach that goal. I'm just going to do a little goal. I'm just going to settle for this. And Sonia has an amazing story. If you check out our other videos, Sonia will tell you that she had an opportunity. Well, now she is assistant manager at her job. But prior to that, her self-doubt was telling her the wrong story, that she would not get this job. And because she knew the steps and she had accountability partners, she went on and moved past that thinking, and now she's assistant manager. Again, if you want to know the full extent of the story I'm talking about, review our videos. I can't remember which one, our videos on YouTube, right?
Yes.
So they can create a barrier. They can cause you to fear of failure. That's a huge one. People don't step forward because fear of failure or the fear of rejection. I want to tell you this. It took me a long time. I don't fear failure any longer. I
Mhm.
don't feel that because you know why? I look at fear differently. I renewed my mindset about the word failure. My thought process about failure is this. Like if I go in to take steps and it doesn't work out, this is what I say. One, either I didn't give it enough time and I gave up, or either, you know what, that wasn't the road I was supposed to be on to get to that goal. Let's switch, let's go back to the drawing board and let's switch roads because it wasn't that one. I don't just totally give up. I used to do that. Failure is just saying, you know what, wrong road. You went down the wrong street. This is the right street.
Mhm.
And then I got to go to somebody who knows better and say, you know what, you know how you ask somebody for directions. What street is, because I went down the wrong street. That's what failure is.
Mhm.
That's what it is. You know, no one's going to do this perfectly, but if you haven't renewed your mindset, when you get rejected or when you fear failure, it may cause you to say, I'm out. This is just not for me. You see, I tried, I gave it a try, I failed. You know what? I'm done with it. Long story about failure. We have to renew your thought about what failure means. Failure doesn't mean it's over. Failure means we just go back to the drawing board. You see how we have to renew our mindset about things? Again, it affects our ability to trust people, especially if you grew up. There are people who grew up, and I heard it around my neighborhood growing up. And I never subscribed to the really. It was my trauma that caused me not to trust. But people were raised to say, you don't trust nobody. Don't trust anybody. They were put in the head, do not trust anybody. People will hurt you. That's
Yes.
not true.
Mhm.
There's a mindset that is not true. Not
Yep.
everybody's gonna hurt you. It's
Mhm.
just that maybe you grew up around people that hurt you, but who you grew up with does not affect the entire world.
Mhm.
Like women who says all men are dogs, and I'm like, unless you date like all the billions of men on this world, not just date all of them, like you've been around them long enough to kind of size who they are. Unless you did that with every single man on this planet, how can you say all men are dogs? See, what they was really talking about is the men they came in contact with, and that doesn't represent all men. But
Mhm.
if you're hanging around other women who speak like that, you're going to speak that way. All men are not dogs. We need you to figure out where to go find the ones who are not dogs. All men aren't dogs. We need to change our mindset about that. Um, Another obstacle is an inability to envision the future. You can't even think ahead, either by because you think that way and you're also surrounded by people who said that's not possible. Like, for example, those coaches on YouTube, they just scammers. And I don't know how many times I got this one when I was a counselor in the program. You just in it for the money. I don't know how many times I've heard that as a counselor. Then I've also heard, um, how are you going to teach us about how to stay clean and sober and you ain't been through nothing?
I thought about that when I first met Natalie.
That you, I
When
don't know
I
how many
first
times I
met
heard that.
mindset coach Natalie, when I was in recovery, and she was my counselor there, and she was counseling the whole um everybody that was in recovery at that time. She has different classes, and I was in one of her class, and I was like, how's she gonna tell me about? She ain't been through what I've been through. She don't know none about me. And then, as I kept going through your classes, I've learned that Natalie had experienced trauma and addiction herself. And I said, look where she at. She looked like she never. I said, I want to know what she did to be where she at, and look how she looks. And I wanted more, and I was curious, and I wanted it for myself. And thank God, I'm still working on it, but I'm here.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, but I got that one, and then I should have these two statements I would tell some people. One, you don't have enough time for me to tell you what I've been through, or I tell them, don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Mhm.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you. And then I would joke. This is a side joke, and I'm gonna move on. And this is a true story though. when I was in my using day, this was over 35 years ago when I was using during that time, right? And I kind of look like the way I look now, right? Kind of back then. Or am I in denial? I don't know. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, to a certain level, I look decent. But I wasn't that like round the way girl that I can finesse and do the, I mean, do the street thing. But you know what I did do? I banked on you thinking that I was that girl you can get over. So while you was thinking that, I was getting over on you. I couldn't play that role, but I could play the naive role, and I'm just this and get over on you. So yeah, I just threw that in there. But yeah, the overgeneralization statement, right? We all not the same. We're all not the same. Let's move on. I don't want to go through others. There's so many different things I can go through. So I have to really skip past all this information. And I think we got 5 minutes. So I'm going to stop here. And I just want to share a resource that will definitely help you, that definitely will fill in the blanks. I am actually working on, and this is a 5-part series, everyone who doesn't know that this is part 1 of a 5-part series about helping you get to that next level of your life, conquering those challenges while you're setting the goal, the challenges of your trauma mindset, helping you with that and setting goals, right? So I developed this workbook, and I called it a worksheet, but I want to make sure that you get so much value out of this. It is now a workbook, and my intent was to have it on this live, but I'm actually going to have to put it up by, what is today? Today is Wednesday. By Monday, I'm going to put a link, and I'm being honest because I tend to over deliver. And I will put the link here in the book. The workbook will be for sale. This is our first workbook in 2024. It will go on sale. So I'll put a link there. Those who may be interested in coaching with Sonia, I developed a coaching program that talks about a lot about the trauma mindset. We normally it's a group coaching thing we do, but for 2024 we're doing one-on-one coaching. I'm going to answer you, Connor, in a minute. It'll help you because we're doing one-on-one coaching. A lot of times that's a whole lot more expensive than group coaching, but just for a little while we're going to do one-on-one coaching. So look for the wait list that's coming out next week. Sign up for the coaching program. I'm telling you, it's going to be at a wonderful price. If you're somebody who really wants to change your life, if I were you, I would get in it because that price is not going to be that price for a very long time. It is not. Let me tell you. Coach Sonia's working on a coaching program. Hers is coming out in mid-June. And believe me, we're not just throwing nothing together. This is value that you're getting. So I just wanted to make sure. But in the meantime, we're definitely going to be producing worksheets. And this one is coming out by Monday. I'll have the link. And the video that we did on Monday, there's a worksheet that I'm going to post. I complete the worksheet. That one is free because there are going to be times that we give out free resources, and that's going to be one. And that one is about how to get a trauma-informed accountability partner because you're going to need an accountability partner. All right, about 3 minutes. How do you ask me what are both of your professional credentials? Okay, so my role here is trauma mindset coach. So regarding that, I am certified as a trauma mindset coach. I am certified as someone who can do group coaching. What else? I did so many certifications as far as coaching is concerned. So that's coaching. As far as counseling, which I do not do anymore. So your answer is, do you take Medicaid? Maybe soon get. I don't do counseling anymore. But my credentials that I was a board certified counselor. State board certified counselor. I specialize in addictions. That was my first love. Certified as an anger management specialist. I'm certified in MRT, which is moral recognition therapy, which is changing criminal thinking. Criminals think manipulatively, changing that way of thinking. I've gotten certified in DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy. I'm certified in CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. I probably have certifications from years ago that I don't even remember. So those are the credentials that I've been using, like more so than any other credentials. But again, I don't do professional counseling. I made a decision to move into more of my own purpose. Counseling gave me a wealth of information and gave me a wealth of knowledge, but now I'm living in my purpose. Now I'm living in my big. So hopefully that answers your questions. Um, yeah. And Sonia, can you share about what your road to becoming certified?
Yes, I do have some certification on trauma addiction.
Mhm.
Um, I did do some certification classes, some on addiction, on coping skills, and right now I'm doing a coaching. I'm actually in the mid of a life coach certification, which I'm
Yes.
so excited. But it's gonna be a minute for me before I finish it. That's why Natalie said I'm gonna start doing my coaching packages in the mid, because I want to finish this, because it's very important, because I am learning so much and I still got a little bit more to go, maybe a month before I finish. But I do have other certifications that I do get, online classes
Yes.
on trauma and addiction.
Hmm. Yeah. And as the CEO and founder of She's Taking a Life Back, I'm always there to support my team and helping them learn and guiding them. Because along with my beyond counseling, I've also been in my counseling experience a clinical supervisor, program coordinator, clinical director several times, program coordinator, executive director on my own treatment program. So I use that skill to make sure that everybody that's on my team is equipped to help those who we coach. I'm serious about this. Definitely serious about the
Don't
work.
forget about the workbook, Natalie.
I just shared about the workbook.
Oh, you shared about the workbook. Okay.
Yeah, I just shared. So, people, if you're watching the replay or you here live, please, get the workbook. The workbook is not going to be nowhere near the price of the coaching program, nowhere near. So
Mhm.
take advantage of that. It's going to help you understand the mindset. It's going to help you with some tools, some resources, some definitions, because a lot of people don't know the definition. I said I wanted to create a page that had all the definition of terms that we use on our lives, what trauma is, what are triggers. So I put a list of definitions so people get an understanding. I never want to assume that people know the words because they hear it. I want them to know it for real. So it also has a list of definitions. It's packed with a lot. It's packed with a lot. It's packed with the importance of accountability partner, a trauma-informed accountability partner. Um, yeah, it's coming out. Check it out. Check it out. And
Mhm.
kind of when you get opportunity, go through our other videos. We were focused more like on Facebook, but we were here and there on YouTube. But now we made a commitment since the last month to consistently be on YouTube via our talk show, and this is called A Woman's Worth Talk Show. And we have several videos up on YouTube. We're trying to build our audience. So if you know anyone that wants to can benefit from what we're talking about, share the video with them. Tell them subscribe. Subscribe. If you're a man, subscribe to our channel. It's okay. I mean, I have men all the time like, Natalie, why you don't talk to men? I can identify with what you're talking about. I'm just not a woman. But it's just because women know women best, but you definitely can benefit from subscribing to the channel. So don't forget, and kind of thank you. It's wonderful to have you on. Thank you for all the questions. Just thank you, Connor. You helped us become interactive, and we're always talking about that. We're always talking about we don't want to just be the only ones talking. We want people to ask questions. So, Connor, thank you. Thank you so, so, so much. I hope you join us next week, because next week, let me tell you what's next week. I'm not going to tell you the title, but next week's talk show is all about crafting your
Here.
goals for 2024. And we're doing it via a
Vision board.
vision board party. So if you're interested in learning how to create goals, not just goals based on having a trauma mindset, because you not only want to set goals, you want to be able to be equipped to deal with the obstacles that may trigger a trauma response. You want to be able to do both, right?
Mhm.
So yes, because we're going to do it in a fun way with a vision board party next Wednesday. All
Yes.
right. And Coach Sonia, before we leave, anything you want
I,
to say?
I just want to thank the audience. I want to thank the ladies that joined us
Yes,
earlier and asked some
yes,
questions. I cannot name y'all because it only says Facebook user. So again, please remember to go straight to our YouTube. It's called She's Taking Her Life Back. We're on YouTube, and this is a Women's Worth Talk Show. So please subscribe, like, share, and hit
yes.
the notification bell so we can know. Thank you so much, everyone. We love you.
Thank
This is
you.
She's Taking Our Life Back. Remember, we are taking our lives back and we are moving forward on 2024.
Yes, we
Thank
are.
you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, Miss.